Welcome back to the discussion. IT modernization requires BPM and low-code automation for lasting success, sponsored by Appian on Federal News Network. My guest today is Michael Beckley, founder and chief technology officer at Appian. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy. You know, Michael, you've been in the classroom with me, and you know a little about the students today, and many of them are entering the workforce, and they're accustomed to grabbing code off a shelf somewhere and kludging together something and calling it an application. You know, others will argue that code libraries have inherent weaknesses, and the true key to rapid software development is something we mentioned earlier, low code. Let's go a little deeper into this concept, and why is it that developers can release apps so quickly with low code?
Yeah, great question. So what's really happening is low code is becoming the mainstream way in which developers actually build most enterprise software, government software. It's the standard way of having a system of innovation that'll maximizes the potential for reusability, well beyond what code libraries could possibly accomplish. Because what we've done is encapsulated a lot of the most repetitive tasks. So if you want to access data from a database, you want to display it in a grid, you want to have a mobile app that can invoke that same information. You know, in the old days, you had to do database programming, you had to do web programming, you had to do mobile programming, and not to mention all of the DevOps tools associated with, you know, testing that code and releasing that code and tying it back to Jira tickets for the use cases for the business people who actually asked for that functionality, because they didn't ask for code, they asked for a feature. And they asked for a process to be automated, because we're not just building apps, we're actually building business processes. So what Appian low code does and what low code platforms can do is allow developers to go so much faster, because they can focus on what's truly differentiated, what's net new, what's unique to that agency. And all of the standard things of pulling data from databases and making it accessible, pulling data from web services and unifying, you know, how people access information without all that swivel chair and having to go to 12 different systems to actually execute a contract. You know, if you're a contracting officer, you're dealing with systems that are decades old. And yet your mission partners, those kids coming out of school who are coming into government jobs trying to change the world, right? They want systems that are modern and that can work the way they do and that can work anywhere. And that's what low code automation makes possible.
Michael, tell me about compliance.
Yeah, compliance is job one for low code automation, and Appian is FedRAMP certified in our cloud natively, and you can get RPA, AI, and workflow in that FedRAMP certified cloud, and that's pretty unique.
You know, I've been in many meetings with developers and end users, and you're absolutely right. No one asked for code. No one ever said, "Hey, John, we might have maybe 6 lines of code." Oh, great! So maybe you should make a T-shirt or something like that. No one asked for code. They asked for a result or some kind of a practical application for that. Earlier, we talked about business process management, and I use that dated phrase, MIS, and we see a new phrase being popularized today. And this is a phrase called HyperAutomation. Boy, all hyper scaling, all kinds of hyper words out there. So what does HyperAutomation mean for my federal audience?
Yeah, HyperAutomation is a new term to describe unifying people, bots, and AI in a single workflow on a unified platform. So with Appian HyperAutomation, you can take your investments in robotic process automation, the tasks that you've found that were really manual, labor intensive, and now you've got a bot that's doing that repetitive work for you. You can scale that to actually accomplish your business outcomes by modeling the entire workflow and using the right automation technique to solve each task in a sequence where you're not creating any tech debt, because now you're not just overlaying bots on a system, you're actually using low code where appropriate, integrations, APIs, and artificial intelligence to replace core functionality from your old ERP systems, from your mainframes. And so it allows you to use the right automation to augment human decision-making and augment human potential, rather than just thinking about how I'm going to replace what humans do. Instead, it's about using automation to make humans go faster.
Yeah, the word augment, I think, is a good phrase to emphasize in this whole discussion here, because people are part of the process. You know, there's bots, there's AI, but, you know, it is an augmented situation where people just don't relax and flick a button and RPA takes over, does it?
That's right, but as having a single platform that can unify how we delegate work to bots and AI with humans still in control, that's a new concept. And that's what's new about hyperautomation. And in a platform where you can have multiple versions of a process running at the same time, where you can upgrade a running process, even though work has already been delegated to digital workers and human workers. You can't wait for all that work to be done to put in a new regulation or handle a crisis. So that's what a unified hyperautomation platform like Appian gives you, is the tools to manage change in real time. It's changing the engine on the plane while you're flying it.
And so the pilots, the DevOps people, what do they react to these platforms? Do they think they're locked in, or what's their reaction to the Appian platform?
Well, the reaction to Appian and other low-code platforms is really contingent upon how effectively they've been served with DevSecOps tools. And so what Appian has done is provided a complete visibility for those development teams into what's happening. It's not just this magical machine, or a black box. They can actually control those packages of applications and the objects they rely on, and they can automate a lot of that manual, tedious work of deploying to dev, to test, to staging, to production environments. So a lot of development work time is wasted in repetitive manual labor of testing and generating tests and just moving code packages from one place to another to get ready to be compliant before you push into production. And Appian and tools like Appian give you a single platform that unifies that and gives you such visibility into the health of not just your app, but your actual program and your platform. And so it gives developers the tools they need to tweak the memory usage, to see, get intelligent recommendations, by the way. We use artificial intelligence to help the developer, to suggest to them how to make their system run better and more performant.
I'm just thinking in COVID crisis, 85–90% of our federal people are home working out of the house. And, this kind of a commonality system like this would help, ease through many different changes in the software, because you can rely on some kind of a standard process and not just kind of go off on your own with grabbing a code from somewhere and not know if it's compliant or not.
Yes, that's exactly right. And having this system that works through just web browsers to allow software developers and business people to collaborate, to build great business processes, to be agile, to launch new systems and innovate them, continuously. And that's something pretty new here.
My guest today is Michael Beckley, founder and chief technology officer at Appian. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy. On the discussion, IT modernization requires BPM and low-code automation for lasting success. Sponsored by Appian on Federal News Network.